The Jaguar E-Type was and still is an icon in the automotive world. It had the perfect blend of performance and beauty, and rumor has it that even Enzo Ferrari called it the most beautiful car ever made. And this right here is the Jaguar F Type. This is known as a spiritual successor to the E-Type, and it sounds simply amazing. My name is Omar, and this is the 2022 Jaguar F Type R. So yes, this thing does sound absolutely crazy, but it doesn't sound as crazy as the outgoing F-Type SVR. That sounded like you were standing in the middle of a battlefield. So what's going on here? Well, Jaguar has made some changes to the F-Type. Besides the new look and some upgrades inside, the 2022 F-Type is exclusively available with a supercharged V8 lineup. The slower of the two engines can be had with rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. The more powerful F-Type R that I'm driving here only comes in all-wheel drive. Oh, and there's no manual option either. But what happened with the exhaust? Well, for some reason, this F-Type R, which actually has the same engine as the outgoing SVR, felt like it's time to quiet things down a bit. So now you only hear that amazing sound when you keep it above 3,500 RPMs. And they got rid of the snap, crackle, and pops. It does it sometimes, but 90% of the time, there are no pops and bangs. So yeah, I missed the F-Type SVR, but hey, this doesn't sound so bad either. But yeah, the new F-Type is technically the same it's been since 2013. However, there are a few upgrades. Now, are those upgrades enough to keep this competitive with other Grand Tourers? Let's find out. Let me give you a tour of the new F-Type. I'll show you what's new inside. We'll go over the new facelift, and then I'll give you my opinion on how this drives and if you should consider buying one. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe. All right, let's do this. All right, since this is a sports car, let's talk about what's under that hood because that's the most important part. By the way, I love the way the hood opens on the F-Type. You can kind of just drive while appreciating your engine. No, don't do that. That's dangerous. But yeah, for 2022, Jaguar felt that we no longer needed other engine options for the F-Type. So now all you have are V8s. The first is the F-Type P450, which is powered by a 5-liter supercharged V8, making 444 horsepower and 428 pound-feet of torque. Then you have this, the F-Type R. This is also powered by a 5-liter supercharged V8, but it makes 575 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque, which, by the way, is the same as the outgoing SVR. Of course, that also means that the starting price tag of the F-Type is now higher. The F-Type P450 starts at $71,300 if you go for the rear-wheel drive one and $81,500 if you want all-wheel drive. The top-of-the-line F-Type R is only available with all-wheel drive, and that starts at $105,300. The model that I'm testing here carries a final price tag of $117,975, and of course, as we go along, I'll tell you what options and packages add on to that price. That said, let's start off inside, and let's start off with the tech because what you're going to see here is standard since it's already so expensive. The F-Type comes with this 10-inch touchscreen display in the middle, and don't worry, unlike previous Jaguar models, this one has an infotainment system that actually works. It doesn't glitch or freeze at all. Not to mention, Jaguar says that you have over-the-air updates so they can keep improving this, but that's only if they ever do. Now, you've got all the phone connectivity things like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but they are a wired connection. I honestly never use wireless Apple CarPlay, so that doesn't bother me much at all. You also get navigation as standard, which is pretty solid, but yeah, overall the system is pretty configurable and you have a bunch of different areas in here where you can dive in deeper and explore more, but it isn't overwhelming. The other screen in the new F-Type is this 12-inch digital gauge cluster display, and it is also very, very configurable. You have a few different layouts that you can pick from. The one with the dial in the center is my personal favorite, but that said, you also have a full screen map view in here, which looks really nice. Overall, it's very crisp and very sharp, but the best part is that it's very responsive. And one of my favorite things in the F-Type continues to be standard, and it's these vents right here that pop out from the dash. Now, what's not standard is dual zone climate control. If you want 2 zones in your tiny F-Type, which you don't really need, that will cost you an extra $1,050 as a part of the climate package. But what you do need as a part of the climate package is the heated steering wheel that it comes with and a heated windshield. And continuing on with the heated and cooled game in the F-Type, if you want heated or ventilated seats, that will cost you an extra $800. Not sure why they just aren't a part of the climate package. By the way, I love the way you turn on the heated and cooled seats. You just push one of the temperature dials right here and spin it left for heated and right for cooled. I like that a lot because it takes away the need for extra buttons and switches and makes the interior just cleaner overall. And that's another thing that you'll notice. You have a lot of physical controls in the F-Type since not much has changed from the outgoing model. Right below the 3 dials, you have some other toggles for your climate control. And then in the center console, you have your physical volume knob. To the left, you have your drive mode selector, which I personally think looks really cool. And then right below that, you have a few other buttons for your traction, your exhaust sound, and a button to retract the spoiler. But here's the interesting thing. You can't deploy that spoiler anytime you want just to flex. It does come out automatically when you're going 75 miles an hour or above. But to deploy the spoiler with this button, the F-Type has to be turned off or in accessory mode, and then you hit this button and it will come out. Why? Because this button right here is actually to put the wing into cleaning mode. It's not just to take out when you want just to look cool. But yeah, this interior overall is a really, really nice place to be. Very luxurious. There's a lot of leather throughout this cabin. Now, there are a few things that I do want to point out. The headliner on my test model is ebony suede, and it looks really nice and elegant, but it will cost you an extra $1,100. Also, as standard, the F-Type comes with a body colored roof, but if you drop an extra $1,200, you get this fixed panoramic glass roof, which I think looks pretty nice, but you can't open it. That said, the most interesting thing in here that I want to point out is just check out the size of these visors. Better yet, check out the size of this mirror. Why is this even here? All I can see is my eyebrow, and that's it. As far as the sound system duties go, they are obviously taken care of by Meridian. You have a standard Meridian sound system, or you can upgrade to the Meridian surround system for an extra $900. And of course, you have a range of driver assist tech in here, including adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, and all the other assists that you'll need. However, the only camera angle that you have in here is the rear view camera. No 360 camera or 3D camera, which I personally wish you could get. As far as cargo capacity goes, you will have to play some Tetris because you only have 14.4 cubic feet. Sorry for the mess back here, that's all my gear. But yeah, it's not huge, but I'm sure you can work something out. Now, let's talk about the exterior design really quick. I personally think Jaguar has some of the best design in the luxury segment. Jaguar may not be as popular as other luxury brands like BMW or Mercedes-Benz, but every time I see a Jaguar on the road, I always do a double take. That said, the new F-Type receives an updated exterior design, and most of that is apparent from the front end. However, not much has changed when it comes to the grille. It's still pretty much the same size, it just looks a little bit more aggressive. But the new design to the headlamps gives this front end a totally different look, and I personally think it gives it a sportier and a more elegant stance. Oh, and by the way, you still have the nostrils on the hood, and they are real. Now, from the back, the F-Type looks pretty much the same. However, you do have a slight redesign to the taillights. They are a little slimmer and sharper, and I think they look nice. Other than that, you have 20-inch wheels as standard, like here on my test model, and you have 3 other choices to pick from. And if you're wondering, the color here on my test model is called Carpathian Gray, and it will cost you an extra $1,550. But yeah, let me know what you think about the updated exterior design for the F-Type. Do you like the new one better, or do you like the outgoing model better? Let me know in the comments below. All right, now before I give you my opinion on how the F Type R drives and whether or not if you should buy one, let me point out a few important daily ownership highlights that I'll have to show all of you. You have 2 cup holders, and that's it because you only have 2 seats, so that's okay. Here are the keys to the Jaguar F Type R. I really like Jaguar keys. They look really nice. Listen to the lock sound really quick. It's so cute. Door open and close sound from the outside. And from the inside. Solid. Charging game wise, all you have are 2 USB-A ports. There's no wireless charger in here, and you have this cigarette lighter charger, and that's it. And let's do an indicator and horn sound test. Indicator first. I love Jaguar indicators. They're nice. Now for the horn sound. Oh yeah, that's solid. I like it. All right, back to driving the F Type R, and just because we can, let's listen to that exhaust. Sounds so good. I mean, yes, you have to constantly hit above 3,500 RPMs, but hey, it kind of makes this a better daily driver. The last Jag that I drove was the F-Pace SVR, and that constantly stays loud and pops and bangs no matter how fast you're going, which absolutely made me very happy. But yeah, blame regulations. All right, so you have a new facelift, some updates on the inside, but what changes were made to the actual drive of the F Type R? So for the V8 model specifically, Jaguar did some reworking of the suspension to make it a little bit more stiffer. You have a soft anti-roll bar in the front and a stiffer one in the back. Now don't worry, they didn't make this too stiff. It's still actually pretty comfortable and still very much a grand tourer. When you have this in dynamic mode, you can go and customize a few attributes in the infotainment system, and you can make the suspension softer if that's what you like. But yeah, this 575 horsepower supercharged V8 is absolutely amazing. You don't have a manual transmission, yeah, but this ZF 8-speed automatic shifts pretty quick. Let's just go down to 3, 4, 5, 6, back down to 5, 4, 3. Super quick. Apparently, Jaguar also recalibrated the steering to make it feel more responsive, but I honestly don't feel a difference between the outgoing F-Type compared to this. The steering feel on this is pretty light. I mean, it will grip, just not as hard as you would expect. This isn't a track monster at the end of the day. This is a grand tourer, but it will still do 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds, and you have a top speed of 186 miles an hour, which you'll likely never ever hit. The best way to look at this is if you ask yourself, what if Britain had a V8 muscle car? That's what this feels like. That said, this is still every bit of fun as the outgoing F Type R and SVR. Now, I know some people out there aren't a fan of the way the new F Type looks, but I personally think it looks absolutely beautiful, and it sounds absolutely beautiful, and it's a pleasure to drive. I'm gonna get in some serious trouble. This does have some pretty strong competition. You have the new mid-engine Corvette, which is much more affordable. You have the Audi R8, which is much more expensive. And then you have the Lexus LC 500, which is similarly priced. You also have the AMG GT and of course the Porsche 911, but those two are more sport cars than they are grand tourers. So would I pick this over any of those? Yes, but only if I wanted to be different and unique. The Audi R8 V10, which I recently tested, is one of my personal favorites, so maybe I wouldn't pick it over that. I would probably pick this over the LC 500 or maybe even the AMG GT. This thing has a great balance of power and comfort as well as theatrics. You know what I just realized? This is actually cheaper than all of the cars that I just mentioned besides the LC 500 and the Corvette. This is actually cheaper than the BMW M8 and the Audi RS7. So yeah, I think this just got a little bit more appealing. Either way, thanks for watching. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe, make sure you follow me on Instagram and on TikTok. My handle is @OmarDrives. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care. Peace. Come on, you didn't actually think that I would leave you without hearing some more of this beautiful exhaust sound. Oh, so good. And if you like this, if you enjoy this, you can pick yourself up a used F-Type SVR, which will sound even crazier and has crazy snap, crackle, and pops, because this doesn't. Even when you downshift, no snap, crackle, and pop. Give me something. Something, anything. No. Just above 3,500, that's all. It's great.